Alright guys, so this is actually a discussion we were having on my stream the other day, and it was the problem with single target units, and I kind of molded over a little bit, kind of took my thoughts and, repackaged them as they were, and I'm going to put it in this discussion video because as we were going along and discussing, the new unit, because, we were playing JP, we were checking out Wangina and seeing how good she was, and eventually the topic just shifted into us kind of talking about why single target units, they don't really come out all that often, right? Like, I know at the beginning of this year, we were having a lot of complaints on, oh, another AoE unit, oh, look at that, another AoE unit, but then on top of that, what I started doing is I started looking through all the single target servants that we were getting, and they just don't come out as frequently as some of the AoE units, and I think that's for a good reason. So I wanted to break this down in this video, but before we begin, if you guys enjoy these daily FGO videos, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Twitch link down in the description down below if you want to be a part of the live discussions, but that's besides the point. Let's talk about this because I'm kind of excited to get into it. So first and foremost, the most obvious, answer or response to something like this would be like, well, there's a lot more AoE units and they come out a lot more frequently because farming is like 90% of the game, maybe even like 95% of the game, right? The content where you're trying to clear something in 3 turns and you've got, just 3 nodes of 3 enemies, or even now 6 enemies now on some very rare nodes, but your AoE servants are the ones that are able to mop those up the quickest and the easiest, right? They do it the most consistently, right? That way you're not having to do like a 9-turn clear with, say, someone like, I don't know, Enkidu or Jalter or Kintoki, someone like that, where they can't take out as many enemies as fast, right? Because they just don't have an AoE NP, right? So it makes sense that they would put out more of these AoE units because farming is more of the game, or even not even just farming, but these 3-turn clears. Even think about like your story chapters, right? Most of the story chapters in the game are you just kind of going through a little bit of story, then you fight, 3 nodes of like 3 enemies a piece, and then you kind of are done with that, right? And then sometimes, on rare occasions, maybe the last node will have like 2 guys, or maybe there'll just be 1 servant, but generally it's stuff you can clear in 3 turns with your AoE guys. But then we kind of started taking that discussion a little bit further, and I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I was like, well, for 90++ content, and even just the 90+ content, some single targets are really good. Look at someone like Kintoki, right? Who, as a single target unit, is still really valuable because his damage is still very high. He's up here with some of the highest damaging single targets in the game. Did I just pass him? I might have just passed him. I know he's up here. Where did he go? There he is. I literally did pass him. Look at him. He's like way up here. All right, 63. 4th highest hitting in the game, which is raw, huge attack, right? Like, no damage mods needed. Obviously, you can get higher than him, but he is a berserker, so you could pretty much bring him to anything, and he just has really good raw damage, right? So this guy is still very, very valuable. Got a 50% battery. He's just very simple and very straightforward, but that's sometimes just what the game demands. Sometimes you have these weird 90++ nodes that are, optimal to farm because they usually drop all the things for the event, and even if you have like a lotto event, they usually also drop like some of the lotto material as well. And so if you have a node that's like 1 big guy, then it's like a wave of 3 guys and then 2 guys, or it's like 3 guys, 1 guy, and then another big guy, right? Kind of for the 90++ content. Some of these larger damaging single target units become very valuable, not because of their kit in the case of like, say, but Berserker Artoria Caster, whatever we're calling her, right? And then Wangina over here, who, I pulled them up because they're very recent, really good single target units. It doesn't really matter all the bells and whistles that they have outside of maybe damage mods, because the most important thing is that they're going to be able to chunk a very massive enemy, right? And it doesn't matter that Kintoki really has a very bare bones and not a great kit, right? Because he's got the things he needs. Big attack, big battery, sometimes that's all that's needed. And I'm almost worried about this, whole overarching point that I'm going to get to of the issue with single target servants is that, like, they almost kind of need to be good in these farming 90+ or 90++ contents. Otherwise, what's really the point of using them, right? And to kind of elaborate on that just a little bit more, you have these really strong servants over here. Like, you have Artoria Caster Berserker over here, who's really strong, or Wangina, who is really strong. But it's almost like, what's the point in going for them? Because if you're not going to be using them in like the farming stuff, you could use them in some boss fights, but it's not like we get boss fights that common enough or there's like not a lot of these like say different missions and stuff that you can do for certain boss fights, that you need to go and get all these different guys. And now I'm going to reference Dokkan, but I'll try to make it easy for my FGO players who don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, in that game, you have different teams of people, right? Like everybody knows what a Super Saiyan is. Everyone knows what like a Super Saiyan 2 is, right? Those are like different teams in the game. And they'll have difficult content where you can go in and you can use different teams on different, more, high-end content, the late game stuff that these guys are really good for, right? Because you want to use them because they have specific missions where it's like, yeah, you could go in here with Caster, Berserker, Artoria, whatever. You could bring her in here, just absolutely trash it. But we have a mission, the FGO equivalent would be like use an Ulster person, right? Like use Ku Alter, or, use someone from Babylon, right? You could use like Enkidu or like Gilgamesh, something like that. We don't really have that incentive, right? And so it's almost like these single target units just keep getting better and better, right? Like Wangina, I think, is really exceptional. This is not a dunk on her or Castoria at all. I think these guys are absolutely phenomenal. I think they're really, really strong, but it's almost like they're getting like so good, and like I don't know if you want to call it the power creep of them, like where they just keep stacking on top of each other and they just keep getting better, but it's almost like you can keep making them better when you realistically just need to be able to do this, right? Like you just need to be Kentucky good, or you can chunk big enemies, because that's going to be most of the game. Most of the thing you're going to be doing is farming and having a good single target guy that can take out some of these large enemies in, free quests and stuff. That's kind of just like the baseline. It's kind of like they have all this extra stuff that almost doesn't matter because you don't really get to encounter a lot of these more difficult content fights all that often. I think the Olga quest, if you're not aware, over on JP, they have this like 12 stage long fight where it's just a bunch of different boss battles and everything. It swaps in between a single target AoE fights, different, servant names, different attributes, different alignments, everything like that. So you can just bring a whole just different smorgasbord of people to go fight that. I think that's a good step in the right direction, but unfortunately, it's not permanent. Like, the ability right now where you can challenge it as many times as you want, that's not permanent. It'll be available for everybody to at least complete once, but it's not like perma content that you'll always be able to do as many times as you want, which I think is unfortunate, or stuff that I want to see moving forward in the game, because we have all these single target units that just keep getting better and better, but it's almost like getting better, but for what? Like, for what reason do they need to keep getting better and better if there's not these more difficult fights that really challenge them? Or what I would like to see is, say, like maybe they introduce like a Goetia fight, right? And they're like, oh, beat this Goetia fight with a caster team, or beat this Goetia fight with a berserker team, or beat it with a foreigner team, stuff along those lines. I know some of the extra class ones might seem a little bit more difficult to do because, there's not a whole lot of like free to play foreigners running around, but you get the gist, right? Like, I would like there to be more incentive to go for these single targets, because I feel like once you just get one really good single target, you really don't need to go for any others, right? Which I know could probably be said about a lot of the loopers in the game. You could say, well, if you have Space Ishtar, there's really no reason to go for Summer Kama, but at least for them, they have like this steady power escalation, right? Where you have like Masashi, who came out, and then you have Space Ishtar and Kama, who are a little bit better than her because they have batteries, right? So they're a little bit more flexible. Then above that, you have, say, like Summer Ibuki, because she has all of that stuff, plus the damage mod, plus the battery, plus she's a berserker, right? Like, so they just slowly start getting a little bit better. They slowly start tacking on more stuff. But these guys are just getting so good so quickly that it's almost having me question, why are they being so good? Like, why like, what are they prepping us for? And if we're not going to be getting any, insanely difficult content and just a lot more CQ style content, then it's like, what's the point of them getting so good? Now, I will say, there is a little bit to this, kind of crackpot conspiracy theory that I got going on here, because Ordeal Call does seem to be cranking up the difficulty a little bit, right? Giving us the different class, different modifier things you're able to do, where you're able to go like increase the attack damage of your sabers, or increase the arts buff for your archers, right? Stuff like that. That whole class planet thing that you can like start buffing or whatever, right? Because of that, and like the actual like HP values and like the attack of like a lot of these enemies seems to be going up. Like there was like a Giles enemy that had like 1,000,000 HP. If they start letting us just start fighting those dudes, kind of like how they did for the ORT raids, where they were each like these 1,000,000 HP enemy guys, or even if they did stuff like that, but they made them like permanent, stuff that you could do as much as you want, I think that'd be really sick. I would love to see stuff like that kind of emerge, so then a lot more of these single target units could shine, because I don't like the whole thing of like, AoEs are the most valuable thing in the game because they're there for farming. They tried to help out single targets, but then it's like, once you have like one really good single target, you could pretty much just use them for like most of your farming needs, right? Especially if you got them at higher NP levels, and especially if you got people like Kentucky over here, who he'll just be ageless, right? He'll always be really good for this style of content. So I don't know. I would like to see stuff like that kind of come out, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I know that I did kind of gather my thoughts and kind of put them together, but I know that I was still kind of all over the place, so you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I like having these discussions with you guys. I like getting the thoughts and opinions of the community and saying like, am I just, you know, the only one kind of thinking about this? Or when I like say stuff like this, does it maybe give someone else a different thought? And they're like, oh yeah, that is really cool. Or like, I understand like where this guy's coming from. And, you know, they can add to the discussion, right? I just like doing stuff along those lines. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, by the way, if there's any other discussions you want me to do, feel free to drop those in the comments down below, because I love doing these discussions. I love talking about the game. But on that note, now I'm actually out of here. So peace, late guys.